As you know, it was announced, I believe, in a vote for 17-0, one person with health vote, if I'm not mistaken. FDA basically approving, if I'm not mistaken, for emergency usage, looking into this whole 5 to 11 age group of getting these COVID jabs. There's a couple of stuff that I want to kind of document with that, because it's insane that they are pushing so heavy against this. Not against this, it's more for it in their case of your children being jabbed. Now, I think it's important to note that there's two things, actually. Main thing, and first and foremost, is that hospitalizations and hospitalizations and death. You're talking about the group that is least likely to end up hospitalized or die, and that's young people. Okay. You're talking about with a combined survival rate of 99%. Again, that's on the WHO's bulletin. You can go check that out. And it's specifically, obviously, as you get younger, that increases, or rather you look at younger age groups, that survival rate goes in even higher. In fact, the fatality rate goes down. So you're talking about the least vulnerable group. It hasn't even been 1,000 of them, if I'm not mistaken, that have passed. And that's like from 0 to 17. When you include like 5 to 11, it's like barely 100. Yet for some reason, they are rushing to get these people jabbed. And they insist that they do. And some people would say, well, it's, these guys going to school and all this is to protect the adults and stuff. And to that, I ask this: when do we start sacrificing younger generations to save older ones? I thought it was usually the other way around. If there was to, or rather you had to make a decision in that regard. Yet here we are. I think that's a little bizarre. Not little. It's a lot of bizarre that you're pushing for this, despite all of what we named. Now, other people would also add to that. Okay, well, it's because they can spread it to these people. As you know, as Rochelle Walensky said, I believe it was August the 5th. And when they finally conceded, of the CDC, this is Rochelle Walensky, to CNN, she says, what we know now is that, considering this Delta variant, it does not stop transmission. Okay? So you have been completely neutered of that argument. You don't get to use that anymore because it's simply not true. This whole idea, well, yeah, it's to stop you from spreading it. It doesn't prevent spread. It doesn't. They said that themselves. Okay? Now, continuing on with this FDA stuff, I got two videos that I want to show you. First, I want to focus on this one right here. And this is, of course, the FDA going through their little meeting. And there was a voting question here. This is Dr. Rubin on the FDA panel. And the voting question, based on the totality of scientific evidence available, do the benefits of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine, when administered as a 2-dose series, outweigh its risk for use in children? And this is what this doctor had to say. And I'm going to just show you the actual video because I don't want people to think I'm showing you some bullshit. Let's listen to what he had to say.
But we're never going to learn about how safe the vaccine is unless we start giving it. That's just the way it goes. But
one more time.
We're never going to learn about how safe the vaccine is unless we start giving it.
He literally just said we're not going to know. That's the old Nancy Pelosi. He said that we're not going to know how safe it is until we start giving it, which isn't necessarily incorrect. That's for sure. Why are you sacrificing kids to do that is more of the question. It's like the old, what did Nancy Pelosi say? She said, we got to pass the bill to know what's in it first. Sound a lot like this. Tucker was talking about this as well. And he brings up some great points that I want to make sure we look at real quick. Let's take a look. Some of what I just said, I believe he echoes some of those same sentiments here. Let's listen in.
Just a few hours ago, an FDA panel issued emergency youth authorization for the Pfizer vaccine, this one aimed at children ages 5 to 11. Mandates for children of those ages will soon follow, no question. So what is this?
And y'all, and I've mentioned this on the news of why it matters. When this news broke, y'all know that's exactly why they're doing it, right? Of course, we talked about in previous segment, pharmaceutical companies have their own interests in mind. It is in their best interest for many jabs that get out there to get out there. Now, what he's saying is, the mandates will soon follow, and that's all this is for, right? There's been some schools and whatnot that obviously they can't have a rule or mandate that because it hasn't been approved by their the people that they look up to and all the alphabet drug agencies that exist, drug and disease agencies. So once that happens and they get some recommendations from the FDA, CDCs, and all that, that's when it then says, okay, in order for you to be in school, and it will probably be something akin to what we saw in California, where they will require you private even school or try to mandate that. And they would say because it's under the recommendations of the drug companies and what have you.
Science say about this? Well, it turns out that children of those ages are more likely to die of the annual flu than they are from COVID.
Which is true. Okay. That is not an opinion. That is a fact. For that age group. Now, I'm not speaking about necessarily older ones. But for that age group, as the data shows, that the flu is more deadly to them than the COVIDs. You can be upset, you can be angry, you can be aggravated. That doesn't change anything. That's just what the data shows. We've covered that here before as well.
Of the 73 million children in this country, fewer than 700 have died of COVID. CDC data show that among the relevant age set, children 5 to 11, there have been nearly 2 million COVID cases, but only 138 deaths total.
All right, so let's echo in the sentiment. Like I said, there hasn't even been 1,000 deaths associated with young people. So usually I believe that they consider that between the age 0 and 17. There hasn't even been that many regarding young people. And then when you consider that specific age group of 5 to 11, there is only 138 up to now. That's it. They are about to attempt to mandate that your children be jabbed to go to, get their indoctrination for a virus that has killed, of the 2 million of them that have had it, only 138. I'm not that good at math. I'm actually pretty bad, but I think that's a fairly low percentage. Now, some people would again reply to that, acting as if there's no risk associated in anything else. Say, why take the chance? Right? It's only nearly statistically insignificant because it's not your child. Do you not understand everything that you virtually do is associated with risk? And for some people in certain age groups, they're more likely to die in that car drive to school than they are to die of COVID. Look. I understand that you were sold as if this was the apocalypse, but you have to look at the data that they're even providing and say, does it match up with the actions? And they simply don't.
From March through October of last year, at the height of the pandemic, a child had a 1 in a million chance of dying from COVID. Right now, by contrast, kids are 10 times more likely to die of suicide. That's the actual pandemic raging among young people. Meanwhile, there are reasons to think that mandating vaccines for kids could be dangerous to them. Pfizer still has not conducted meaningful clinical trials on young people. According to Pfizer,
listen to this right here.
Long-term safety of COVID-19 vaccine in participants 5 to 12 years of age will be studied in 5 post-authorization safety studies.
I'm stopping the video right there. I need you guys to understand what that statement is saying. And again, you still think this is about science. This statement is basically suggesting, and I'm going to reread it. This is coming from Pfizer themselves. Long-term safety of COVID-19 vaccine in participants from ages 5 to 12 years of age will be studied in 5 post-authorization safety studies. Again, it's going back to what that FDA doctor when we were just watching and what he just said, and that is basically we don't know until we give it to you. Why on earth would kids, and I'm sickened by it, that you have people that are willing to sacrifice their kids for the sake of they're being lab rats. That's effectively what this is saying. You're a lab rat, and yeah, we haven't done any long-term safety. They're going to be studied after the authorization. After the authorization. So once this gets definitely administered to all of these people, or these kids in this case, then we'll be able to do long-term studies. Now, look, this isn't to say that some of them won't come out, or even most of them won't be, they'll be fine. Maybe. I would hope so. But it's not like they know. They don't know. I get what it is they're saying. And to be fair to the previous doctor, he's correct. That they simply won't know how safe it is long term until they give it to you. Why on earth, considering they're admitting that they even passed it despite documenting that. The fact that that is the case and they know that, yet they are still willing to, they know they're not oblivious to it, that in turn will end up turning into mandates. Your recommendations, that's what we've seen with the CDC. Recommendations turn into forceful mandates because that's what they always use. That's the excuse. So they're essentially mandating that your child be a lab rat. Now, this isn't anti-vax. This isn't anti-science. Now, does your actions match with what the data says? No. But we've gone so far into this. We're that deep in the clown world, clown realm, that despite there only not even being 100, it's barely 100, not 200. Barely 100 that have died between the ages 5 and 11. Probably those had some other things going on with them as well. But despite that number of the 2 million people that got it, of the 2 million kids that got it, despite that number being a thing, they are recommending that you get it. This makes absolutely fucking no sense. I'm recommending that your kid get it. It doesn't make any sense. Of all demographics, to attempt to use as lab rats, you're using people's kids. And y'all don't think there's some evil shit going on. You still think this has everything to do with just, science and caring about the children, right? Because, hey, they may spread it to someone, even though they've conceded that it doesn't stop transmission. They may spread it to someone. That's what you're falling back on. So you're trying to sacrifice the younger generation for the sake of saving the old one? I was raised, I guess, to believe that generally wasn't the case. And when there is to be someone that has to be sacrificed, it ain't the children. But hey, I guess we are living in this sort of odd world where everything's ass backwards. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.